That little pile of white crystals on your dining table is the real reason you aren't a nomad, and it is entirely responsible for the modern world. Sounds dramatic, right? But it is absolutely true. Today, salt is cheap and everywhere. But for most of human history, salt was basically edible gold. Why do we care so much? Well, you literally die without it. Your nerves needed to send signals. Your muscles needed to move. If your ancient ancestors didn't find salt, they simply didn't make it. Your brain is hardwired to reward you for eating it. That is why a salty fry tastes so incredibly good. It is survival biology. But early humans had a problem. Meat and plants are great, but they don't naturally contain enough salt to keep you alive. So people had to get creative. They started boiling seawater or mining rocky deposits. Then someone discovered salt's greatest superpower: preservation. Before refrigerators, salt was the only way to stop food from rotting. It sucks the moisture out of meat and vegetables, trapping bacteria in a salty chokehold. This changed everything. If you could preserve food, you didn't have to eat your kill immediately. You could save it for winter. You could travel with it. You could feed an army. And feeding armies is exactly what empires wanted to do. Take ancient Rome. They needed a massive, unstoppable military. And soldiers need to eat. Rome built giant salt works on the coast and paved massive roads just to transport it. Ever wonder why we call it a salary? Roman soldiers were sometimes paid in salt, or at least given an allowance specifically to buy it. The word salary literally comes from sal, the Latin word for salt. No salt, no Roman Empire. It is that simple. Over in China, salt was doing something equally wild. It was paying for the Great Wall. A writer named Guanzhong figured out that if the government controlled all the salt, they could charge whatever they wanted. Since everybody needed salt to survive, it was basically a mandatory tax on being alive. The Chinese dynasty got incredibly rich, built a massive wall, and ruled for centuries, all funded by tiny white crystals. But here is the dark side of salt. What happens when leaders get too greedy? In France, in the years before the revolution, the king imposed a heavy tax on salt called the gabelle. It was universally hated. People were forced to buy a specific amount of salt every year, whether they needed it or not. If you were caught smuggling salt to avoid the tax, you could be sent to the galleys or even executed. It made the people furious. That anger, along with a few other terrible taxes, eventually boiled over into the French Revolution. Salt helped topple the French monarchy. Hundreds of years later, it happened again. Mahatma Gandhi wanted to break the British Empire's grip on India. He didn't start with guns. He started with salt. The British had banned Indians from collecting their own salt, forcing them to buy it from the government and pay a heavy tax. Gandhi led a massive march to the sea, boiled up some seawater, and made his own illegal salt. Millions joined him. It was the beginning of the end for the British Empire. So the next time you casually sprinkle some salt on your eggs, take a second to appreciate it. It is not just a seasoning. It is the invisible architect of human history. Just try not to think about the Roman soldier who used to be paid in it.